And what's happening out there, folks? Welcome along to another episode of the 710 News. Oh shit, I gotta move my mic again. Forgot I had this problem last week too. Mr. Finnegan, I blame you, my man. 1 second now, folks. Who do we have? Monsieur Fudge, what's happening? Monsieur Fudge, forgive the microphone fucking blunder here. 1 second more and I'm going to get this sorted once and for all. Now we're talking. Mr. Bobby O'Brien is out in the audience as well. What is happening, Mr. Bobby? Oh, my apologies, guys. I should have tested this one out before hitting out that live button, but we've had a very, very busy day today. And yeah, we've got a couple of headlines there lined up for you today. But before we do that, let's see how everybody is doing out there in the hot box. I see the hot box is getting nice and busy, which is what I like to see. So welcome to everybody out there in the hot box. We'll pack up a bowl. 7:10 is when we start. We're supposed to start here this evening. Don't got any dabs, but we do got some delicious Jack Herrera. Green screen is going to play all sorts of mischief here now with that, but yes, just take my word on it. This is glorious herb. Nice bowl packed up. Guys, everybody get your bowls ready out there. Where is it rolling up on 4:20 actually? Should we check the 4:20 world clock? 4:20 in 3 minutes. In these places. Boom. Nope. Oh my goodness. Boom, now it's working. Always a bit of a hiccup with this when trying to get the 4:20 world clock to display for some reason. But there we go. 2 minutes until 4:20 in Norona, South Georgia, South Sandwich Islands, Miquelon, Nuuk, and Greenland. Yes, it's 4:20 in Greenland. An aptly placed name to be celebrating a bit of 4:20. feel like I'm in Greenland right now. Yeah, quite green. All right, let's rock and roll. Mr. Finnegan, what's happening? Solid Mind Digital out there as well. Bonjour, my pal. R420 supplies is in the hot box as well. What's happening, R420? 60 seconds and counting there, guys. I don't know if you can see that. Shine in the bucket's out there too. What's happening, Mr. Shine in the bucket? Monsieur says, yes, sir. I catch you live. Hope everything and everyone's cool beans. Yeah, no complaining here, anyway. I think I can hear Mr. Elijah there out in another room, giving it socks. I think he's getting very close to his bedtime. Who else is out there? Keith Griffin, Toto. What's going on, Toto? Amy Riley's in the hot box as well. Bobby, we already said hello to you, Bobby, but sure we might as well say hello a second time, shall we? Oh. Graham Parker's in the hot box as well. Mr. Finnegan saying here, always my fault. I take full responsibility. My production skills have been lackluster of late. Yeah, Mr. Finnegan, once more, we might just have to relinquish you of your responsibilities. It's 420. Woo! Oh! That's not really the sound that we make, though, to celebrate 420, is it? No. This is more the song that we celebrate with. This gorgeous bong there. Epic gift from Cork Herbal Products. Mr. Ferg, not sure if you're out there, dude, but sound as a pound you are. Grace glass as well as savage stuff. So right, let's get back to the hot box, shall we? How many more days till 420? 266 days left, guys, until next year's 420. Will cannabis be legal by then? What do you think? Well, if we're thinking about Ireland, talking about Ireland, obviously. So, will it be legal? I would probably be saying not. Will Martin be in prison next year? That time? Who knows? Who else is out there? Mr. O'Regan, Mr. John O'Regan says, by the way, you're way too far on the left of the screen. Yeah, that's what I was just trying to sort that out there, mister. So hopefully I'm looking a bit better there now at the moment. Hiding myself down behind Wait, we'll sort this out. How are we looking now? That better, Mr. O'Regan? Who else is out there? Robert, when's the next protest in Dublin? I have no idea. I believe there's going to be something going down on the 23rd of August, and that's going to be above in Dublin. That's going to be organised by the Patients for Safe Access. So I'll be able to reveal more on that when I'm kind of approved to reveal more on it. But right now I've been kind of ordered to kind of keep it a little bit under the lid as to what's going on there that day, because pretty big plans for that particular day anyway. Martin O'Brien is going to be coming and joining us back here again in Ireland, I believe, for this particular protest, but it is going to be above in Dublin, 23rd of August as well. It's during the week. It's a midweek event, and it's going to be during the working day as well, you know, kind of after 12 o'clock, before 3 o'clock kind of thing. So the 23rd of August, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m, you know, keep that in your calendar maybe. But I can't say too much more after that then. Hopefully that's enough information for you. For now, Monsieur Fudge says, Jack are my favourite. Deep and tasty, just like the smell. Man, the smell here is like, oh, it's just so weedy. It's weedy nice. John Finnegan here to John O'Regan, he says he had to hide behind the 420 globe. People be looking for the dude. I'm lying low. That's it. Lying low in here. Oh, where's he gone? Where's he gone? Amy Riley, what's happening? Amy says, all good, guys. Hope you all are all well. I'm doing mighty fine anyway. Yeah, had a pretty good day anyway. Not much bringing me down today, and got plenty here to lift me up. Green Tea says, even all, great to see you streaming, Martin. Nice one, Green Tea. It's good to be back again. I'm going to try to get back into doing at least a weekly stream with the 420 News. And as I said, I've been jumping at the bit to try to get a couple of interviews done, and I will make that my priority as well over the coming days. So we will get back to getting the content out there. Lots of people out there suffering, I suppose. One of the people I'll be talking about in a little bit there, there's lots of people out there that need to have their story told, and there's just not enough coverage out there by the mainstream media for these people. And you come up with the reasons why the mainstream media aren't covering it, whatever those reasons are, but the fact stands that they're not really covering it. They're not giving these stories justice. So I feel obligated to be just doing a little bit more there, to get those stories told for those people and to help them in their fight, their struggles. But yeah, we'll talk about one of those stories in a little bit. What's your fudge symphony of bubbles? Always reminds me of that fucking Cypress Hill man. He's just Mr. Finnegan, Martin Cannon will remain a free man as long as we all band together and make it so, you feckers. I don't know. I think my days could be numbered. I'd say if I keep pushing them as I have been. Still have those number of cases pending for the cultivation charges from last year's protests. So we'll see what happens when those come up. If the judge will entertain my right to protest argument in those cases. Let's see. Let's hope I don't get COVID anyway, and the judge goes fucking hard on me for missing cases because I was being responsible and stayed home because I was self-isolating from COVID. But look, we won't get stuck into that. Mark McDonald out there in the audience says Jack was nice, and thank Martin. Glad you enjoyed it, Mark. I managed to bring some of my buddy Jack Herrera with me to Dublin there not too long ago, and yeah, we got to share a little bit with Mark. Glad you enjoyed it, Mark. Mustawez, I also have a little envelope here as well with your name on it. As you're saying here, you love the Jack Herrera. I was hoping that we would be able to cross paths in 710, but I didn't even make it up there. Not sure if you made it down there yourself on that day, but maybe you might be down in Cork soon, or maybe I can get up to you. But otherwise, I'll get something in the post if needed. But it seems like the domestic post has been getting targeted a lot more lately. But yeah, we can chat more later. Boom, just flying through. Jog OG, what's happening? Says, how's it going, Martin? Free Martin t-shirts, lads. Next protest, just in case. Doesn't suit their agenda, Martin. Media here not covering farmers' protests in the Netherlands. It's a disgrace. Yeah, that farmer stuff over in Holland is absolutely nuts, isn't it? Like they really are protesting, much like farmers in other parts of Europe as well. I think that the French farmers were out, the Italians, I believe there were Spanish farmers as well. There was a number of European countries there where the farmers kind of came out in solidarity, I suppose, with the protesters up in Holland. Yeah. Rashers as well. What's happening? Says sup, Bobby. So yeah, that's everybody in the hot box, right? Let's get some Ishka. Shall we get another bowl into us before we start reading the news headlines? What do you say, guys? Oh, Mr. Wes. Lots of love coming in there for Mr. Wes. I'm going to pack up another bowl anyway, at least. We might hit it there for a couple of these headlines because there's a couple of them here, like, then again, just how we criminalize people for this, I just do not understand it. I just cannot understand how a person is a criminal because they use a plant. Like, I just cannot understand that at all. It's just logically, there is no logic to it. It's like making a person a criminal because they're fat. That's kind of pretty much it, isn't it? Like, that's why they don't want us to use drugs, because they're unhealthy because of drug abuse. But like, geez, as Joe Rogan says, you can abuse cheeseburgers. Like, what next? Like, there was a lot of talks there recently about a cashless society here in Ireland anyway. That there was a lot of the AIB banks here, Allied Irish banks, which is actually a state-owned bank as well, might add. It's kind of funny enough. It's 62% state-owned, I believe. But they closed down. They were closing down a number of branches and converting a number of others to being cashless. Kind of moving towards this cashless society. So I talked a lot about this, like, you know. So like, is that where we would be heading then if we're going to allow the government this control over your lives in terms of like what drugs you can consume? Are we going to allow them to kind of dictate, you know, when you can buy a cheeseburger? It's like, hey, you know, come here, Mr. Finnegan. I think you kind of had a bit too much meat there now this week. You know, you're going to be heavy in those double cheeseburgers, aren't you? But that's probably the least nefarious of the stuff that the government can be getting up to. Like, but you know what I mean? I just can't logically understand why we criminalize people for using a drug. It's like, well, it's bad for you, so we're going to punish you, which is actually even worse for you a lot of the times for these drugs. Because again, let's remember, like 90% of people who use drugs actually do so in a way in which is not detrimental really to their health. About 10% of drug users actually abuse drugs. Again, I'm wanting correction on that. There's probably lots of other numbers out there that contradict that. But I'm going with Dr. Carl Hart's numbers. Dr. Carl Hart's a legend. Yes. So let's start off with the news today, guys. The first headline I have for you today out of the 710 news, I suppose, shall we call it, for the late evening that's in it. The cops here in Ireland, they have seized cannabis, 500,000 worth of cannabis plants. And they did this in a small little village here in Tipperary, a village. What was the name of the actual village? It was called Lorha, Lorrha, so Lorrha, so Lorha, and that was in Tipperary. And I'm just going to pop up the village here, just so you can try to get a grasp of the size of the village, because like there's 500,000 euro worth of cannabis plants. So they don't say how many plants were actually there, but they say the value was €500,000. You work out the maths, divide it by €800, because that's what they value a cannabis plant at here. So if they applied that valuation to this, then you're talking about in the region, it's 625 plants for €500,000, and that was grown in this little village. I'll pop it up here. There it is. So this is the small little village in Tipperary. You see it there, like there's one main street going through it. There's probably a population in the village of about maybe 200-300 people or something thereabouts. Maybe taking in a bit of the wider area there as well. You know, a couple of those houses out in the periphery there. You kind of see them. There's about 300 people maybe in that, like, you know. This cannabis grow house was growing more than 2 plants, 3 plants, almost 3 plants there for every person in the village. Mad. Absolutely crazy stuff. But like that's what's happening in Ireland. You've these small little quiet little villages, and you have these massive cannabis grows going on there. Now, I'm speculating on all this. I don't know who's associated with this, but let's speculate and say that that's an organized crime gang. Look at that, like, beautiful little village, you know, and you're bringing fucking the shit with the organized crime gangs down into that. Like, stop now. Like, we really need to end this nonsense, because that there's an opportunity in that, because, you know, you see the small little village, you know, and within that small little village they were able to be producing that much cannabis. Like, that's a nice few jobs for that village. If that village was to be, say, an artisan cannabis village, you know, that the local farmer there converts a couple of acres to the growing cannabis, and now the growing of cannabis and the processing of cannabis is going to be done in this area, adding to the jobs. So, like, compare that to what there is right now because of prohibition in the village. There's criminals in there running a hidden cannabis factory, you know, potentially here. I don't know what the details of the case are in terms of who's been arrested, but is this a case where there was another, like, slave labor going on up there, where they've got these Vietnamese people being held in one of these properties, you know, without a passport, you know, without any English, you know, some of that nonsense that goes on there, again, not because of the desire for cannabis, but because of cannabis prohibition. You know, it's because of cannabis prohibition that this kind of stuff goes on, and it's because of cannabis prohibition we don't have the ladder that I talked about there, where we have a local farmer setting up a local production business for cannabis. You know, an artisan cannabis production facility of some sort. You know, Tipperary's finest. I don't know. You could probably come up with some classy names there. You know, for the Tipperary thing. But again, for each local area is going to have its own unique kind of take on this. And again, like, you know, you've Stonewalls down in Kinsale here. They produce some lovely cider, in fairness, but it's quite expensive. But you kind of pay for it because it's unique. There's not too many places within Cork actually producing cider, and it's really nice cider, in fairness. So it's kind of worth it too. And I don't drink too many, so it's not too much of an issue. But you know what I mean? You'd be willing to pay a little bit more for that local variety of cannabis, but we're being robbed of that. We're being robbed of that, and this village is being, you know, robbed of its tranquility because at any moment there could be, you know, murder in that village because of the organized crime gang. I'm just going to pop up a story here over on the thing because I just remember this. Again, I'm speculating in this story, okay, that I'm about to talk about. But imagine that this is going on here in Ireland today. Look, this story. Irish woman driving a rental car finds a dead body in the boot after pulling over to investigate a strange smell. This was 5 days ago. This story was published there over on the Irish Mirror. So imagine this, like, this is a rental car. So again, as I say, I'm speculating a lot here. But again, you know, we go back to the last one there in that little monastic village, like, but imagine, you know, a person associated with the drug trade potentially ending up in the boot of a rental car, and you know, it could be associated with this kind of stuff. You know, the growing of cannabis. A cannabis farm could have been raided not too long ago. The person managing it, you know, who knew about it maybe, could now be in the boot of that car. You know, again, I'm speculating. I don't know if this is drugs related. I don't know if this is related to organized crime gangs. But again, it's not normal that a rental car is just going to show up with a dead body in the boot. But this is Ireland today for you. And I do think that I have a strong feeling that this is some way connected to the drugs trade. There's feck all information actually within the article. You know, it just talks about the woman picked up the car above in Mullinavat. So it's a village again. Like this is why I was tying it into that monastic village again. This is another village here in Ireland where this car was picked up from, and she only drove 5 miles away from there, and that's when she noticed the funny smell. And she checked the boot, and that's when she made a discovery of the dead body in the car. Mad stuff though, like, you know, it's crazy. Like we've all seen the movies and shit like that, you know. You've seen the stuff with the mafia and people just disappearing them, throwing them into boots, giving them cement shoes and all of that stuff. Absolutely mad. What are y'all saying out there? Sean is shocked that Big Pharma have a heavy stake in the island. Big losses for them if cannabis is legalized here. Yeah, you see, I don't think that really is the case, because like you look in places like say Colorado and other places, like yes, while the use of opiates and stuff like that there was a decline there seen once cannabis legalization happened. They haven't gone away. They can coexist, you know. Cannabis isn't for everybody, much like opiates aren't for everybody. And I do think the two can coexist, but I think currently opiates, as I think what you're pointing out, is the fact that the pharma have a bit of a monopoly there on this, because it's only opiates available for people, and cannabis is very hard for patients to get. So yeah, that there is a vast majority, even like myself in my own situation with epilepsy, I have to try the big pharma stuff before I can try cannabis. There's like 10, 20 drugs there they want me to try or something like that before. That they might even recommend brain surgery before I would be allowed access to cannabis. You know, it's it's a bit mad when you think about it. But yeah, that's the situation. Is it driven by big pharma's control of government? Possibly. Rasher Tipperary Terrier Cannabis. There you go. Well, it's out there all flower. So the renters never smelt it when they got it back. John O'Regan says there are at least as many people who can't drive safely as there are people who can't use drugs safely. That's a good observation too. Yeah, there is. Yeah, I would say there's probably a lot more people out there who can't drive safely, at least from my experience on the road. Seem to bump into a lot of bloody idiots out there. Oh, we won't even start now on the people who've bumped into on the road. Back in Taurus. Autoflower says we doesn't touch real bad pains. Yeah, it depends, what your pain is. I'd imagine there's probably people out there who would argue with you that like some of the severe neurological pains that they might suffer with that cannabis does alleviate is on a level that would drive a person to jump off a bridge to try to solve their problem, if you get what I mean. But yeah, to each their own, depending on what you're suffering with. I know myself, I suffer from time to time with sciatica, and cannabis doesn't do anything for my sciatica anyway in particular. At least like it helps a little bit, but it doesn't make it go away. Unlike a Solpadeine. Solpadeine, when my sciatica flares up, that pain just melts away really quickly. But with cannabis, it doesn't really give me as much relief as I would like. Amy Riley says, did the rental car place not check the car before renting it back out? That's disgraceful. Yeah, I think that's kind of what happens with that Go car company. It's like you can rent the car for an hour or two and then you put it back there. So there is a good chance that you can be jumping into a car after a person has got out of it before anybody checks it. So I think that's the way they operate. I think those cars only get cleaned, every week or so, maybe month or so. Red box. Nice red box. Mark McDonald says using different combinations and delivery methods definitely alleviate. Yeah, I reckon it would possibly too. If I had a good rub, I'd say a good, a nice, one of those kind of deep heat rubs with the right blend of cannabinoids. I reckon something like that could definitely help alleviate a bit more. But look, we're not really spoiled for choice here, I suppose, with products unless you can make stuff out yourself, which I have done in the past. I've made up a couple of rubs in the past myself, and I've been quite happy with them, but never actually tried them for sciatica in particular. Boy, fuck, man, sciatica is quite bad. Yeah, once you're 100% into jumping off a bridge, yeah, chronic pain is it's no bueno. Noticing that the green screen is disappearing. Hey, Scott, what's happening? How's things, Martin? Hope everyone is well. Yeah, everybody's doing good here. The hot box is hopping. I got a bowl packed up here actually. Let's blaze one now that Scott's joining the hot box. Just for you, Scott, and everybody else who's joined in the last little while. Let's blaze one. A little civil disobedience here on the podcast. The fact that we're criminals for just to try to prevent this action that I'm going to do. How many years of people's lives, if accumulatively, if you were to think about it, how many would you say? It's probably in the billions. It's definitely in the billions, I'd say, in terms of how many years collectively of people being locked up behind bars for this plant. Like there's a couple of headlines here now today for Ireland, and people are getting like 10-year sentences. It's in the US, man, there's people getting like life, 30, 40 years, no parole, all that kind of nasty stuff. Crazy for this, just because, watch, just... That's it. That's all it is. Why have we taken this much potential out of humanity? How many good people have been put behind bars who needn't have been there? It's mad. And when you think about it in that scale, like if you were to think about what could be achieved if those human hours were put into something beneficial, curing cancer, let's say, you know what I mean? Coming up with more beneficial gadgets to help people with disabilities or something like that. I don't know, like, but geez, man, sky's the limit. Potential is endless, really. Like when people are allowed uh, flourish, but when we kind of lock people into cages, there's not much flourishing can be done then. Trying, like, say my own case, like with the judge trying to make me like I'm supposed to be sorry for what I done, but what I done benefited me and I harmed nobody else. No, sorry, judge. I'm not sorry. Uh yeah, Sean, that's true, man. Man killed over in Singapore. Um young Jamie. Man executed in Singapore for cannabis trafficking. I just popped that up there now for you to see. But yeah, that's go away. Okay. Man executed in Singapore for trafficking cannabis. Like, guys, boycott Singapore. Don't go there. It's like, no, don't spend money there. Don't even like transit through there. If you can at all avoid it. 500 grams of cannabis, and they took this man's life. Imagine that. Like, this is someone's son. All right, he's 49 years of age, but he's still someone's son. Like, there's a good chance there that his mother is alive, that father is alive, brothers and sisters, cousins, friends. Now he's dead, hung for 500 grams of cannabis. What in the name of God, like? Why? For what I just did? Like, I consumed a bit of cannabis, so he's just like, they're trying to prevent that? Put a man to death? What in the name of God? And it says here, latest hanging makes 6 executions for drug trafficking since late March. Like, 500 grams corresponds to drug trafficking. That's mad. Death by hanging. Like, seriously, like, how bad can cannabis be? Is it that bad that they're going to kill somebody for it? Seriously? Oh man, rest in peace to that dude. Rest in peace to all the other people out there as well, needlessly losing their lives. It's sad situation. People being killed for this. There's people out, yeah, but people die because of overdoses, because of heroin and nonsense that they might be spouting. But if somebody dies, because of an overdose from heroin or something like that, you can hardly blame the drug dealer for that if it's under a model of prohibition. Again, you'd blame the policymakers, because if you want a responsible person at the point of distribution, you have to regulate the supply of the drugs. That's the only way you're going to save lives. Again, and instead of needlessly trying to take lives in order to save lives. It's like, yeah. Man, sad day. 500 grams of cannabis. How much happiness that would have brought to people. And now their actions killing a man. How many people are suffering as a result? Yeah. Thank God Ireland is not that bad. Autoflower says, never buy from China. Fuck China. Man, it's very hard not to buy stuff from China. Everything is made in China. This TV screen I'm probably looking at right now, even though no, it's probably actually maybe that other place, Korea, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, a lot of this stuff's probably like this. Have a quick look at the back of this. Serial number. Made in. Oh, it doesn't say where it's made in Taiwan. Taiwan much better. Chucky R. Law. Yes, I love that actually. I only just got that when I said it. Chucky R. Law. Yes. Yes. I haven't paused and laughed at a name, like I haven't drawn attention to a name like that in a while. So, like, man, congratulations, or lady. Chucky Erlaw says that's crazy, and just across the way in Thailand they have fixed it. Some difference, isn't it? Thailand just recently legalized, just freeing prisoners thousands and thousands of people, giving them back their cannabis. And Singapore is still literally putting a noose around people's necks and thinking that that's going to do some good. Stop. Seriously, like, you know. Jonathan Hare, was story fiend. What's happening? James Clary as well says, I reckon most overdoses are deaths due to contaminants. Yeah, there you go. And maybe when it comes to contaminants, you know, when it comes to contaminants, maybe them you could blame the dealer because of what they could potentially have been cutting with it. But again, ultimately, you have to blame the policymakers because they're allowing the dealers to have control over it. Yeah, the policymakers aren't making them cut it, but at the same time, it's the market that it is, the black market. If they think they can get away with it, like, oh, these people aren't going to college, they're not learning about freaking food safety or drug safety, you know, they're not learning the stuff. They're just online looking at stuff and seeing in a fucking forum there in the dark web, like, yeah, you know, I use this stuff there to cut it, it's grand, but oh yeah, I'll do that. So Hawk Falcon Birdman, what's happening? John Finian says Martin is not slow. Autoflower says, I'd say China will invade Thailand soon. No way, man. I think you're on about Taiwan. Is that what you're on about? China and Taiwan, that the whole type thing going on over there. That is possible. Yeah, I don't know enough. Not been following geopolitics, global politics, quite closely. Been focusing on cannabis quite a bit. B Mooney says, what's up, Martin and hi everybody. Yeah, quite high here on this later edition of the stream this evening, but yeah, good to be on. So yeah, let's go back to Cork. There was another case before the courts here in Cork. So we dealt with the 500,000 worth of cannabis being found above in Tipperary. Again, that was as part of Operation Tara's, which was another fucking fiasco here, 14 million or something like that. I think we valued it at per year to the taxpayers. This lady, Operation Tara. But down here in Cork, then, not Operation Tara related. A man was found with €21,000 worth of cannabis, and he claimed he was under threat, declared death. And he's got a 3-year prison sentence from the judge Helen Boyle, who was presiding over this case. This is a case of a 51-year-old man, and I don't normally name individuals, I suppose, but this particular man has been locked up, and I think, John, we should be kind of campaigning to be getting people like this out of jail because he's got caught with a bit of cannabis and should be in jail for cannabis. Particularly for 3 years. You know, 3 years in prison costs the state here is €240,000 roughly, and that's based on the average per prisoner cost in Ireland, 80,000 per year. So if this guy's to be locked up for 3 years, like, not only costing us €240,000, but it's wrong. He shouldn't be locked up. He got caught with cannabis. It's like, just leave him off. Like, this mess around cannabis should have been sorted a long time ago. The government had an opportunity when Luke Ming Flanagan put the bill forward back in, when was that, 2013? They fucked up. Now we've cases like this. People now haven't paid with 3 years of their life because of the government fucking up all those years ago. But the judge in this case, anyway, said that there was aggravating factors in the case. Is that an early stage of the drug search at his home, he attempted to dispose of the drugs, but the judge noted that after this initial reaction, he did cooperate at the scene thereafter. But who wouldn't? If you give an opportunity to get rid of the evidence, you know, it's like, fuck you guards. They're going to take it off you anyway, you know what I mean? You're not keeping it. If they find it, they're not keeping it. So of course you're going to try to get rid of the evidence. Like, you're going to not want them to have anything against you. But the judge imposed a 5.5-year sentence with the last 2.5 years suspended. And this was at the Cork City Circuit Criminal Court. The defence barrister, Paula McCarthy, said the accused engaged fully with the Gardaí and the probation service and pleaded guilty to the charges at an early stage. Said the defendant had also engaged with rehabilitation. The Sergeant Nigel Desmond said that the individual, Brian Collins is his name anyway, claimed he only had a nodge of cannabis for his own personal use when Gardaí arrived to carry out the search However, after a thorough search of the home, Brian Collins at Noonan's Road, Cork, Gardaí located cannabis with a street value of €21,000. So the dude was trying to, fob him, oh, yeah, look, lads, I've only an edge, and just give him the grinder full there, It's like trying to get him off, yeah, and tried to get away with not having him search the gaff. They went and found that the cannabis, it was in 2 large clear plastic bags, in a corner hidden amongst black rubbish bags. The drugs were in the clear bags. Initially, the defendant made no reply to the Gardaí, but he made full admission afterwards to the sale of supply of drugs. Says his phones were examined and messages consistent with drug dealing were found, and Miss McCarthy said the accused had accrued a significant drug debts which he was trying to pay, and he was engaging with Arbor House. The judge was trying to she urged the judge to consider imposing an entirely suspended sentence to enable the accused to continue with his rehabilitation, but sadly, the judge wouldn't do this. So Brian Collins was arraigned at the court previously when he pleaded guilty to a charge of having cannabis for sale and supply at a time when its value exceeded 13,000. Judge cares kind of stating, the fact that he's lucky he wasn't getting the minimum mandatory of 10 years because it's over 10,000. So the fact that he got a 5.5 year with 2.5 years suspended was lenient in the eyes of the judge. But still, guys, in my eyes, the guy should not be spending a day behind bars. I don't care if he's got family, if he's not got a job or whatever he's not got, but the guy should not be in prison. He shouldn't, I don't know, do you agree, disagree? There's people might be out there saying, he knew the risk, he's a dealer, he should be, he knew the risk. I've heard that from people within our own community say that. How can you say that? And you're buying cannabis, and how can you say that, if you get caught dealing, sure, yeah, you should go to prison. That's so fucked up. It's such a mad notion. And I've always been trying to tackle that one with people. It's just no one should be behind bars for this. No dealers of cannabis, should be behind bars for cannabis. It's the government, if anything, the policymakers should be behind bars because of the needless deaths over the years, for their desired fucking goal of a drug-free world. They would get it if they just got this cashless society. Cashless society means you can no longer be able to buy your drugs from your dealer. Autoflower saying here, yeah, the ODs are boys weighing out fentanyl and weed, the same tables and crap. Yeah, I've heard, the stories are right of fentanyl dosed weed and stuff like that, but thank God I don't think we've ever really had any cases of that here in Ireland. Not that I know of anyway. Lucy, what's happening? Says, hey there, Martin, about to light up with you. Nice and Lucy. I don't know, a couple of a bit behind, but yeah. I'm going to clean out my bowl and get one packed up again. Be ready for a little bit in a bit. What are we doing on time? 45 minutes in. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the stream so far. Hopefully everybody's enjoying something nice too, guys. What's everybody talking on out there? Shout out to the strains in the hot box. I got some Jack Herrera just packed up if you didn't already hear. John Finnegan says, who are the 10 people on YouTube that haven't liked the stream? Tut tut. Come on now. John will get his donkey after you. Oh, Jesse be up the road. That's better. My drug dealer's got a chip and pin. Savage Rasher, savage. Yeah, I've had one guy alright that's been doing PayPal and shit like that. But yeah, never had a chip and pin. Nice, Scott's just filled a bowl as well. Excellent stuff. We'll blaze one quite shortly. Scott's on the amnesia. Nice. It's nice to see so many people out there in the audience and a couple of new faces there as well. Pab Whelances ran out yesterday on the gicking tobacco only. Sorry to hear that, Pad. Sorry to hear that. More on the way, and the Oleo vape on the way. Can't wait. Oh, nice. What's the story with the Oleo vape? Did you get onto Oleo and order one off them directly? Are they doing that now for people? I didn't know that they were doing that. If they are, excuse me. But yeah, it'd be cool to know how you got your hands on the Oleo vape. A couple of people are asking me about it. I thought the only way myself was through the HPRA. But to be very honest, I don't think I actually asked Richard if people could buy them directly, because they're nice little vapes. In fairness, like they're sleek, they're nice and handy, kind of fit in your pocket. They're no mighty, but at the same time, I don't think they have a mighty price tag on them either. See what I did there. Autoflower and says, and here's one. They let old blind people that are 80 plus and fentanyl patches and Zimmos still driving around. Blows my mind. Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it? You know, the double standards are out there. How we treat certain drug users and how we treat other drug users, completely different. Chucky Erlos, a star dog everywhere, so I'm stuck with it. Although it's quite nice. Yes, the star dog can be quite nice at times, but it does get quite a bad rap because it's I don't know, it's just so ubiquitous. I suppose just such it's I suppose seen as kind of a commercial strain. It's not your Cali by, you know what I mean? It's a star dog, you know what I mean? It's bombshell. It's kind of like where White Widow used to be back in the day. If you went to Amsterdam like 10 years ago, like White Widow was nearly always like the €5 a gram strain. It was like the budget weed, but it was always fucking good weed. So the same with the Star Dog. It's just kind of getting a bit of a bad rap now because everyone has it. It's on everyone's menu, much like White Widow was back in the day. But yeah, Star Dog can be quite nice. I gotten some nice Star Dog there in the past. Pad Whelan says crown giveaway on Discord, my man. Ah, nice, Pad. Ah, nice. That's good to hear. I understand. So I think the guys might have picked up one or two of them while they were up at the Patients for Safe Access conference there. Otherwise, they might have just got more off afterwards to do the giveaway. But yeah, I know a few of the guys from Crown were chatting away with Richard above there. It's good to see these links being made. It's great. Great to see the strengthening of the community that's going on, how people are making connections, and there's just great networking going on out there at these events. So we need more of them. JW Hyper, what's happening? It's the story, Martin. How you, bud? Hope everyone is having a good evening. Mighty fine evening. Hope you're doing well as well, JW. B Mooney saying there, good dog will compete with any Cali. Nice. Yeah, I hear what you, man. I ain't that fussy. I was in Amsterdam, I suppose, when was it? 2 years ago, and the lads I was with, man, they were splashing out on the Cali. Like they were paying like €35 a gram. I was like, no way am I paying €35 a gram. I just couldn't afford it, man. It was just outside of my budget. I was quite happy with the stuff, you know, ranging from anywhere from, what was it, maybe €7 to €13 a gram, €15 a gram. 35 is just pure marketing. That's why I was slagging the lads. So I was just, lads, you're getting marketed. Paying for the marketing, but yeah. Rasher says technically dog is Cali. Well, there you go. There we go. The Cali thing is nonsense. It's just nonsense. Sorry, it's just Republic of Day vaping some strawberry cereal live resin from a visit to the States. You lucky man, you. Assuming you wear a guy, Dave. Rashers, Cali Genetics, Barry Fields also says just back from the beach. It rained. Great story. And swimming in the rain is actually quite relaxing. It's yeah, it's an experience. I've not gone swimming on the beach in the rain actually to say that, but I have gone swimming in an outdoor swimming pool in the rain, and it is really cool, especially when you swim under the water and stuff. It's just I digress. Scott, genetics from Cali, grown in Tala. Tala's finest. We have one more depressor. Do we have one more court piece here? As I said, there's a guy recently got 10 years. This is a case coming out of Ennis Circuit Court, where a man got a 10-year prison term on for selling or for having in his possession, 50,780 euro worth of cannabis. So this is the case of a 47-year-old man from above there in Clawley, Ennis. The judge backdated the sentence to April 2021 when the individual was brought into Garda custody. It says here, imposing the minimum mandatory term he said the individual was involved in drug dealing at a significant level of expertise. He added that it was a very grave aggravating factor that the individual was serving 3 separate suspended sentences when committing the offence. But like, thing is with drug offences is it has one of the highest recidivism rates. Recidivism, if you don't know what that is, as I can barely fucking say the word anyway, is reoffending. It's when a person who commits a crime gets released from prison and then commits that same crime again. Drug dealing is very high in the recidivism rate. So like that, it's really annoying when judges use this as a kind of an aggravating factor. It's that they really should be using this as a reason to go back to the policymakers to try to say, hey, come here, you know, we can give these people the death penalty, and I'd imagine they would probably still come back drug dealing afterwards, you know, drug dealing from their grave. But you know what I mean? Like it's not going to deter drug dealing. You know, we see Singapore there. They still have like 6 people executed in the last few weeks. Like, is that what we want for Ireland? Is that what we're willing to bring it? I know some prohibitionists might be arguing for that. It's and it wouldn't surprise me. But no, that's not where I want to see Ireland anyway. It's not a country I want to see my kids growing up in. Excuse me. So it says here, the judge said the individual made himself a target of the local drugs unit by returning to dealing within 1 year of being released from prison for a drug dealing offence. Says he's from a good family in Limerick, and he used to have 2 ice cream vans on the road before he returned to drug scene in the middle of the last decade. That fucking Afro Man song comes to mind there, you know, he's got the ice cream van, you know. I was gonna quit drug dealing, but I got says here in court concerning the offence, Detective Garda Paul Heaslip of the Clare Divisional Drugs Unit described the individual as one of the leading players involved in a large sale and supply of narcotics in the area. Narcotics, it's cannabis. Come on, in fairness, like, or he might have had other drugs in the past. I'm not too sure. I haven't really read too far into this. But Detective Heaslip said that the individual was a target of the drugs unit and was involved in a sophisticated and well-resourced operation. The detective said that the Gardaí found a large freezer bag of cannabis under the root of a tree on the grounds of Carnelly House, and then waited on April 16th to see if anyone would come for the drugs. The detective said armed support members then took up observation points and, along with colleagues from the drugs unit, witnessed the individual come to the root of the tree to retrieve the drugs at 4 p.m. on the same day. So, like, think about this. Like, you know, I suppose the first part there is like the way in which the cop is describing it, you know, and describing the individual and his operation. You know, sophisticated, it's highly resourced, and all of this kind of nonsense. He's really trying to big up that the guy is, like, you know, being fucking an Escobar kind of type of guy, like, you know, or an up and coming Kinnan of sorts. But then we go to the other point, you know, and they describe the resources that are being used there to observe this, and all they're getting is cannabis. All these armed guards, you know, there with guns. Like, if they're there with guns, you know, what's the danger to perceived? And these guards are putting their lives on the line for cannabis. Cannabis to prevent what I'm about to do in a couple of seconds. You know what I mean? It's like, John, pick up my bong and make that sweet music that many of you really enjoy out there. I've been told by a couple of people actually that the sound of a bong now reminds them of this show, whereas for me it always just reminds me of Cypress Hill. But anyway, but the resources there that are being used in this is just scandalous that this is going to continue for. Jeez, I'd hate to think, but imagine if it's going to continue for another year, another 2 years. Like a lot of people say the lifetime of this government, and I probably wouldn't really argue with them too much on that. They're probably not wrong. The lifetime of this government means at least another 2 years. And then that means a change of government and a change then in policies around that could take a minimum of, what would you say, in the new government's lifetime, a year again. So you're talking a 3-year wait before legalization happens there. Depressing. Absolutely depressing to think that I have to be a criminal for this for another 3 fucking years. Meanwhile, that we're talking about inclusivity and diversity and acceptance, in other parts of society. I don't feel accepted. I don't feel like society is diverse enough yet. I think that there's a bit more room for diversity, and I think there's a need, a huge need for the acceptance of cannabis consumers in society today. to continue to lock people up for selling cannabis, for growing cannabis, for possessing cannabis, that is criminal. Given all that we know, we know so much now about cannabis, and we know it's not what we were led to believe that it was, despite the continuing efforts by some of the fucking misleading the leading misleaders out there, Mr. Bobby Smith and Mary Cannon and et al. All the rest of the people out there as well. Definitely misleading people as to the dangers of cannabis. We know now, the evidence is clear. Cannabis is nowhere near as dangerous as people once were to believe it was. It's the gateway theory. Stop. Get out of here and don't let that gay hit you on the way out, because that's nonsense. All right, yeah, closing out anyway. And this individual got to 10 years. He had 78 previous convictions, including 43 road traffic offences. Despite that, I still think he shouldn't have been getting 10 years for cannabis. It's like, and whatever about his suspended sentence, or the things he was out in bail for, or whatever it was, or what he was out in suspended sentences for. He shouldn't be doing any jail time for cannabis. 10 years, €800,000 costing the state, the taxpayers, if he's to do all of those days. 800,000. Imagine the good things we can do in society with 800,000. Crazy. Yeah, that's Ireland. Let's hope things change soon. What's everybody saying out there? John Figgin here saying, jokes, Martin. Irish judges using Wikipedia to form their judgment. Did you see that? I did, John. I seen that. Absolute nonsense, isn't it? There was a case here where like some academics from Ireland and from the US of A, they were looking through some published documents that were uploaded, and they basically found that judges were using phrases and terminologies that were seen in Wikipedia pages that they couldn't have really been saying and using without have read those pages beforehand. So it was quite interesting, to find that evidence of that within the Irish judicial system. It wasn't much of a joke it is. We weren't even allowed to reference that stuff in college, you know what I mean? No Wikipedia, like everything, like all our literature reviews, the first thing that was said to you, no Wikipedia references. Anywhere but Wikipedia. Meanwhile, Irish judges. It's gas. Scott says there, same thing I said to the guard, I don't recognize the crime. Yeah, I don't recognize the crime either. I'm going to continue to do this, so I'm not a criminal for it. Much like, if we wind back the clock, we only have to go back not too long ago, and we only have to get on an airplane, to be honest. If we don't even have to time travel, we only have to get on an airplane, and we can go to certain countries out there in this world where you can be a criminal for still being a gay person, for being engaged in a gay relationship, engaged in homosexual activity. You can still be not only criminalized, but I'd imagine there's still countries out there where they have the what's it called, fucking the capital punishment. You know, they kill you, hanging, fucking shoot you, whatever it is, chop off your head. Like, imagine that still exists today for the gay community out there. Mad. But much like they're not criminals here in society today in Ireland, thankfully. We shouldn't be either. There is nothing criminal going on here, as I won't engage in criminal activity right now. Autoflower here saying, up the kins. Yup, up the kins. Right, let's rock on, and we get on with some more news. And we jump back over here to the news headlines. This one was in The Guardian. This is the one featuring Brittany Griner, and her legal team have been changing their stance now recently. And I suppose changing their stance to be making a stance. I suppose making a stand in the courts over there in Russia. They're arguing now that Brittany Griner's use of cannabis was legitimate medical use. Although they're also arguing that it was a complete accident that she brought it with her. She packed it by accident. So although she's legally prescribed it back in America, her intention wasn't to bring it. It was just that she was rushing when she was packing. It was amongst her stuff when she was packing her bag, and it ended up in her bag. So there is that. She's admitting, you know, hey, I didn't mean to bring it. I want to respect your laws. I was respecting your laws. It ended up in my bag. I'm sorry, but it is still a medicine, and please don't punish me any further than what they already have. That's pretty much the stance that they're taking in this case. You can go over and read the article if you like, but that's pretty much the ins and the outs of it. I'm very interested in this case myself. I think it's crazy what's going on here. A woman, a lesbian woman as well. You know, the LGBT community, that they should really be getting out and kind of standing up and speaking out against this stuff. But I suppose there is a lot of persecution of the LGBT community still going on over in Russia today. So that there was speculated that as well as the political motivation could be the reason behind the targeting of Brittany Griner. But I think that it was joked about. I think I might have overheard the joking about it on the Joe Rogan podcast, that this woman's gone over taking part in a women's basketball league. He's like, how many of these women aren't lesbians? It's like the majority of them probably are some form of lesbians. Like, you know, it was kind of just joking about it. But yeah, there's probably a high percentage of women involved in women's sports that are lesbian. Not all of them, but I'd imagine it's a higher percentage than in other fields, you know, of that women might be partaking in, especially athletic sports. Not to say that straight women can't be athletic, but you know, sometimes lesbians do tend to be, I don't know, it's butch a derogatory term, but you know what I mean, buff, strong. I'm going to shut up now before I dig a hole for myself. B. Mooney says, I like Stardog too much. The original Manny cut, I believe, was actually from a clone called the Illuminati Pheno. According to the man himself, it was unreal. The original Stardog. Autoflower says, just shows law changed law for him and he's a lover. Monsieur Fudge says, Cannabis anniversary on the 7th. Was wishing we could be there for another good session. Cork anniversary on the 7th. Oh, nice. Shall we go back to the news then? I think we got back to here. Oh wait, we were already there. Let's go back to here. Because you were bringing me to the next bit of news, I suppose. Let's jump back there, because once your fudge, I suppose this one is for you, my pal. Boom. There we go. Ah, damn. I should have made the stroke on that heavier. Quick edit. Let's see how this goes. Oh, I think this is going to look a little bit better. Yeah, I think that looks a bit better there now. It's a bit heavier in the black around that. There we go. August 6th, 2 p.m., Mardyke Walk, Cork City, picnic in the park for Cannabis Reform Ireland. So in the picture we see us marching down Henry Street above in Dublin. That's not where we're going to be protesting. It's going to be down in Cork City, down in the Mardyke Walk. I'm going to pop it up on the Google Maps there now for you, actually. Just so people can get themselves familiar with it. It is... So there we have Cork City. So we strewn them in. So this is the city centre here, around this area. See where Cork says. We go a little bit out the road here, out the River Lee. And then you have this Fitzgerald's Park. Zoom in here. We have what's known as the Mardyke Walk, but there's a skate park here. So that's going to be the landmark that I would recommend people use. We have that skate park. Just going to change the view over to satellite here, just so you can get a better view. So there's a skate park, and we're going to be here. This is where we're going to go, into that little field there. So there's a skate park, there's that little field. So you come just off the Western Road, down the Dyke Parade there, just off to the left, just onto the Mardyke Walk there, where the junction between the Mardyke Walk and Dyke Parade. And boom, that's us there in that field. That's where we're going to be. Nice big field there. There was the intention of bringing this into the city. I was intending to actually do this inside in Bishop Lucy Park in the city. Bishop Lucy Park, you know, you look at this area here. Nice big space. Just shoot over here to Bishop Lucy Park. A little bit more. Wrong side of the Lee. Clancy's. There it is. Look at the size of Bishop Lucy Park. It's tiny compared to that. You know, that's Bishop Lucy Park here. It's a nice spot. It's tiny. Not as much space, and it's normally busy. This spot over here, nice and big. Nice and open. And it's not very busy. So let's all gather here again for another gathering. Stick that one in your calendars as well, guys. I believe I've already told people in the past, August 6th was a date to stick in your calendars, and it was a date for Cork. So there you go, we finally have a poster out there now for this. Oh, the stream deck is really cool. I'm getting used to it. Takes a little bit to set it up beforehand, but it comes in really handy. It brings me up to the next one. Here's this photo. Have any of you seen this photo? Like a freaky thing, like, you know, it's a photo that was taken over in Australia. And people were freaking out about it. They thought it was like the apocalypse. People thought that there was like an alien invasion going on. But guess what it was? That the fact that it's on 420 News here, you probably have an idea that it's somewhat related to cannabis. Well, yes, it's a cannabis farm. So there was a spillage of light from a nearby cannabis farm over there in Australia. As Australia, you know, they've legalized the production of medical cannabis in some form. You know, some companies are able to set up over there, grow cannabis. And what we see here in the picture is LED lights. That's what we're seeing, LED lights. It's not the orange glow of a HPS. That looks like a very strong pink LED type of light. I've seen LEDs and it looks very much like LEDs to me anyway. So this is news that was coming out of Australia. Where is it gone? There we go. Airglow. Get over there to Chrome sheet. So it says there, when a pink glow lit up the evening sky above an Australian town on Wednesday, local woman Tammy Swazumski wondered if the apocalypse had arrived. So there's the glow, but no, it actually just turned out that it was medical cannabis from a local cannabis farm just in the town outside of Mildura in northern Victoria. So that's hilarious. Well, at the same time, over in Australia, there's still massive farms of cannabis illegally being grown and busted over there. But at the same time, there's big facilities growing legal cannabis for medical use, and they're exporting it as well from Australia, I believe, to places like France. There's a big business there. But they keep it illegal, because the prohibition brings even bigger business. Anything else within this? They're just giving out some statistics here. The number of prescriptions approved has doubled since 2019 in Australia, with the majority of applications coming from the states of Queensland. But charges for possession remain high, with 71,151 people prosecuted for cannabis-related crimes in 2018 and 19. That's crazy. Almost 72,000 people. Yeah, so that's a funny little story there, coming out of Australia. A spillage of light causing a bit of a panic in some of the locals. Turned out to be a cannabis farm, but not to worry, it's a legal cannabis farm. Get that off there. Who's out in the hot box? Who's still out there? B Mooney says still rocking the blurple in 2022. Nice. Bobby O'Brien, what's happening? Says I can vouch for the Star Dog. That shit can hang with most Cali goodies. Bobby, you're just teasing now. You can actually just go in and buy Star Dog in the store. That's just class still. Well, is that up and running in New York yet? Or do you still have to go across the pond to get the league? Or not across the bridge? Yeah, is it across the river? But yeah. B Mooney says I can hear the noise of those light fans. Shovel for Martin Condon. John, why you give me a shovel back? Oh, for my whole digging a while ago, I was just trying to think what I did. Let's drive on, guys, because there's another funny story coming up there again. This one's coming out of the UK. Might have seen it already. This came to my attention there earlier today. Where is it now? Boom, there we go. Chrome. Large cannabis factory found in a sold-off London police station. So this is up in Sky News. But this is the Isle of Dogs police station. It was sold to a private company in February of this year. And police went to their old haunt this weekend and found a large cannabis factory, and no one has been arrested. So this is a Google Street View of the outside of the Isle of Dogs police station. It still has the police station badge and stuff up in it in the Google Street View, so I'd imagine it has to be updated. I'd imagine it's been relinquished of those since the building was sold off. But it's absolutely hilarious. It doesn't say in the article at all as to how many plants are to the scale. Well, it says large, but it doesn't really give you a true idea of the real scale of it, because it looks like a big building. It has many rooms, floors. It's got good potential there. So they don't indicate as that how many cannabis plants were actually grown inside there. But they do say that it's a large scale, sophisticated cannabis factory, the usual stuff. Nobody's been arrested though, that's quite funny. But the building was only sold off in February. So they didn't waste much time there. Like, what an opportunist. Seeing an opportunity, is like, oh yeah, nobody's going to think that they're growing cannabis in an old police station. Unfortunately, they did. I wonder what led to the raid. That's what I'd be interested in. It says here, a spokesperson for the Met said on Sunday the 24th of July, officers from the Central East BCU were alerted to a potential cannabis factory at the former Isle of Dogs police station on Manchester Road. On arrival, a large cannabis factory was found, which is currently a crime scene. With officers at the location, there has been no arrests and investigations are ongoing. The Isle of Dogs police station was sold to a private company on 25th of February. So the 25th of February was the end of February as well. Just legalise it already. The potential is there. These buildings just sitting empty. I go past so many empty buildings, and I'd be always just envisioning, the potential cannabis grow inside and that, a cannabis cafe there, huge potential out there. So yeah, that's coming out of the UK. Also coming out of the UK as well. If they actually just shoot back over to the headlines, we shoot back over there. Boom. There was high praise, it says here in this headline, for a village flower box found to have a suspicious looking plant. This was over in Dorset, where the local community council were notified as to the presence of these illegal plants in their planter boxes. So shout out to whoever was over there, feeding the birds, doing God's work. Beautiful looking plants, in fairness. Like look at them there, growing away gloriously amongst the other flowers, and just towering above them then as the tall hempy grass plant does. It says here the beautiful 6-foot planter was meant to bring a spot of colour to the roadside in Parsley. To be in fairness, it did. It's bringing a spot of colour, but it was just lacking a bit of green. It's got pink, it's got white, it's got purple, it's got red, but it just didn't really have green. No, it's got it. Thought the cannabis plants complemented it very well. It says, but the plan went awry when local gardener who was passing by made a hilarious find with a suspicious with suspicions that the display was tampered with. Volunteers had been taking care of the plants every day while the council had posted on social media saying they were looking lovely. Veronica, the gardener who noticed the problem, said it was the last Sunday I spotted the plants. I was taking my child to a friend's house. I just found it hilarious. The council were looking after these planters every day. All the other plants are still in the planter. It's just the cannabis that's been removed. The planter do look so beautiful. The council did do a great job with them, and I'm sure that was just someone's idea of a joke. It wasn't a joke. It was a protest. People were protesting. People were placing cannabis plants out there in an act of civil disobedience. They don't want their identity known. They didn't make a thing about it publicly, but it does make a public display now. And the idea here is legalize cannabis. It's just a plant. The offending plant was not part of this year's schedule, the spokesperson said. Of course it wasn't. And it's been removed, and checks will be made on plants in the area and other planters in the area. On 20th of July, the parish council was alerted to a report concerning one of the village floral displays, which suggested it had been tampered with amongst the flowers. On the advice of the police, the plant was located, removed, and has been secured by the parish council. I can imagine them now up there, like the parish council, all sitting around, trying to, how do we smoke it? That's hilarious. But no, it said here, and arrangements are being made to pass it to the Dorset police for identification and destruction. An inspection has taken place in the parish of the planters, and this has been not raised any other further concerns. That's so fucking funny. Fair play to him, whoever planted them anyway. Need to get labels in there though, legalise, free to weed, whatever. Hashtag cannabis reform UK. Yeah, that's coming out of the UK. Just looking down through the hot box there. Be money old school teach. They need to get onto Shane from Migro. The Isle of Dogs. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Police station M2. B Mooney says, definitely inspired by you, Martin. I wouldn't say inspired by me. I was inspired by people in the UK. So I think this was a kind of an ongoing thing there in the UK. By others, but yeah, possibly people might have seen stories from last year's campaign. But if they did, they should have left some labels. Need to leave a message with your plant. The plant can't tell the story on its own. It's just an innocent little plant. It just wants to live. Pad Wheel Autoflower says, gotta go bring the dog for a walk. See you next time, guys. Catch you later, Autoflowers. Peace. Pat Whelan says, Lucy, only back right now. Mine was sent yesterday, so hopefully you're right soon enough. How's the audio working for you? Only try the Dynavape. Yeah, the Dynavapes are pretty good as well, actually. I've tried those. Tried the Mighty as well, but the Mighty is pretty costly though. Volcano is king though. That I will say. The irony is it was probably bird seed from Little. Possibly, like, but I don't know how much hemp seed they actually include in the Little bird seed, because hemp seed is quite valuable, to be fair. Yeah, sophisticated. Seen Shane from Migro was actually on with the lads from High and Homegrown recently. I must check that out and see what's happening with himself. Let's drop back over to the news. Where do we go from there? Switzerland. Boom. That was the last piece of news. Positive news. That's what we were doing. Finishing out with some positive news. Switzerland, it says here, fully legalizes medical cannabis and allows export. This is on the 1st of August. Not right now. So on the 1st of August, patients can get medical cannabis through a medical prescription. So prior to this, patients were required to actually request a license, I suppose, from the Federal Office of Public Health, much like kind of was being done here in Ireland with the ministerial license. Pretty much same situation over in Switzerland. A patient had to go through that, so this is kind of full legalization of medical cannabis over there now, where you can actually get it under prescription. So that's going to be quite cool. And the Swiss federal government's Centre for Public Health is behind the effort. The legalization also allows the export of medical cannabis for commercial purposes through the authorization. Though authorization companies need to request from Swissmedic, the Swiss Surveillance Authority for Medicines and Medical Devices, in order to legalize medical cannabis in the country. Switzerland's Federal Council, the executive branch of the federal government of the Swiss Confederation, lifted the ban on cannabis for medical purposes by amending the Swiss Narcotics Act that Parliament approved in March 2021. So it's quite interesting. You can go and read this if you'd like. I'm not going to go through the entirety of this, but they do talk here about different distinctions. They do say that the recreational use of it still remains illegal. However, there is this current trial that's going to be undertaken. I think that started already. I thought that started in June. It says here, in June, the University of Geneva published a study estimating that that was the economic thing. I could have swore that Switzerland were starting their trial in June for legalization. Couldn't find anything on it there earlier, but yeah, that's supposed to be happening. 400 people, legal access to cannabis over there for recreational use, and they're going to be hoping then that's going to show them the way and how to legalize and regulate it for the rest of the country, for all of the consumers of cannabis there. But now that they're making an effort here to legalize it for medical use, still, despite that, you can get cannabis over the counter that's up to 1% THC over there, and also cannabis that contains very high levels of CBD too, which is really cool. That's a really cool offering of products over there as well. You can get this high CBD cannabis that has up to 1% THC. Much better, yeah, than some of the stuff that we're getting here. Unfortunately, it has to be 0.2% THC here, and that just means that the quality of the cannabis then we're getting as a result of that just isn't as high as what they're getting over there in Switzerland, anyway, at least. It says here in June, the University of Geneva published a study estimating that the economic impact of legalization in Switzerland would generate an annual turnover of $1.03 billion, Swiss dollars, Swiss franc, is it? I think that's what their currency is. And create and provide about 4,400 full-time jobs, while another study published in 2020 estimated the national cannabis market to be worth up to 520 million. And the market hasn't even been legalized over there, and it's already after doubling in value by the looks of it. But yeah, in economic terms, it said legalization of medical cannabis would advantage numerous CBD companies in the country, as they will be able to export CBD-based products with a THC level of up to 1%, making the countries competitive in the European continent. This is what I talk about, man. It's just that our farmers are losing out here big time. Our farmers aren't able to compete in the global market because the quality of the cannabis that's coming out of Ireland just isn't up there when compared to the Swiss. They can grow up to 1% THC and export that, no bothers, not much issue. Whereas here in Ireland, fucking got to jump through hoops. Says, however, the Swiss Association of Cantonal Chemists, they warned in February that the vast majority of products sold containing CBD don't meet the legal requirements, as the amount of THC contained in CBD products exceeded the legal limits. By legalizing medical cannabis, Switzerland is seeking proper regulation to allow access to medical treatment with cannabis products and simultaneously protect the population by containing and fighting back the illegal cannabis market, which has widely supplied medical cannabis patients for years. And it says, furthermore, the trial program for adult use of cannabis sales could convince the legislators to legalize cannabis for recreational use in the country. And it says Switzerland is shown to have a forward-thinking approach by establishing its drugs policy over the years, and the legalization of medical cannabis, therefore, is the latest step that outlines a new trend in Europe regarding policies on cannabis. So happy days out there. There's quite a bit left of that article, actually. Or there's not. I'll finish it off. It says, in recent years, several European countries have tried to regulate cannabis for recreational or medical purposes as a new solution to protect public health and fight the illegal market. And it is the right solution to protect public health and fight the illegal market, is you provide a legal market that actually has the public's health in mind. Germany seems to be the only European country working to legalise adult use of cannabis sales at the moment, but other countries are also contributing to easing restrictions on cannabis use in the continent, including Malta, which became the first EU country to legalise cannabis cultivation for personal use last year. The situation of medical cannabis in Europe is still fragmented, but even more chaotic is the legal status of adult use of cannabis, which differs country to country. Some countries have fully implemented their legislation on medical cannabis, others suffer from a lack of supply and other issues hindering their full implementation. Amid such a context, legalization of medical cannabis in Switzerland and the creation of an export market may help some European countries to meet the demand of medical cannabis patients. See, these guys already got their eyes on the export market, that they're looking to import it into our country, because, we're not going to be able to meet the demand that's there in our own countries. And it's true, there's going to be such a demand in our own countries once they lift the prohibition that it's going to be very hard to meet the demand, and the black market might continue to flourish for a while. Or if they get the licensing right and local markets can kind of be set up and run by locals, then that'll help an awful lot, But yeah. Back up another bowl and let's see what's happening in the hot box. So that's all the news headlines that I have for you today, guys. Let's just get this one back up there. August 6th. Boom. 2 p.m. Cork City. So get that one. Be square. Bring your own weed as well, guys. I don't know if you see that down in the bottom left corner. I don't know how that looks on your screens out there. It's a little bit fuzzy on mine, I don't know, because it's quite small. But down in the left corner, bring your own weed. You don't want to come empty-handed. There's going to be plenty of stuff going around anyway, but you just don't want to be that guy. If you come empty-handed, just don't ask anybody, can you get weed off them? Just go over, start chatting to people, hanging out and stuff like that. If you know people and whatever. If you don't, come out, be friendly. Someone's going to pass you a joint. Just don't be asking, can I get a nudge? Can I get a nudge? Don't be annoying people like that. That'll be so annoying. Because they're going to be thinking you're a cop or something like that. It's just not. You get past the joint. That'll be good enough if you don't have weed. Otherwise, just bring your own weed if you can. Bobby O'Brien says, I can vouch for the Star Dog. Oh, yeah, no, I read that. That's an all comment. Then actually way up the list. Barry Fields is still fucking shocked that Creedence Clearwater Revival are not from the South. Yeah. Is life even worth living after that, man? It's all a lie. It's all a goddamn lie. B. Mooney, government is strangling the hemp farms. Any updates on Ming's EU campaign? No, not that I know of, actually. I'll quickly just swing on over. I haven't been on Twitter. I haven't been doing much social media, actually, over the last while. Look who pops up. Mr. Frank Fian. You see what I'm seeing? Our buddy old Frankie, right? Standing there. His hands aren't crossed now. The hands are in the pockets. That's a more accurate representation of Frankie Fian. The hands in the pockets. Frankie do nothing. Frankie, all he good for is posing in pictures. People out there dying. And this guy's in charge of a drug policy and he's out there just getting photos with the IFA guys. Go on, Frankie, bye. Legend Frank, bye. Or legend. Not. This guy's legend, though. Are you talking hard about the hemp farmers that was pinned? Orban, boom, Hungarian PM said, boom. A non-piston section in the swimming pool. Idiocracy. Now they use the ban Russian gold imports. Russian gold doesn't have any fingerprints, so the Russians will just sell gold to half the world, which isn't sanctioning them, and those countries will then sell to the EU. So it's like having a non-piston section in the swimming pool. Alright, nothing on cannabis anyway. Missing people. Let's just do Control F. Oh man, not on cannabis. Control F is fine on nothing. Sorry guys. No updates there. It's pity though, isn't it? Oh wait, what? Luke Mink Flanagan retweeted this guy. Oh, look at that guy. Who's that guy? Jenny, you know this guy?
Condoms illegal and prohibited same-sex relations. When cannabis was made illegal in Ireland, it was done so with good intentions, much like the good intentions of those who also made condoms illegal and prohibited same-sex relationships. A lot has changed since then. Condoms are now available throughout society, and same-sex relationships are no longer prohibited. We now see that these prohibitions were wrong. They caused much more harm in society and needlessly created criminals out of people who otherwise would have never committed a crime. They say one of the reasons cannabis is illegal is due to its effect on a person's mental health. So with that in mind, I asked the committee to consider what effect taking a father away from his young family is going to have, not only on that individual, but on the family and the friends of that individual also. And I also ask if those harms outweigh the harms of cannabis and the harms of carrying a criminal conviction and incarceration too. When brought before the courts, I could never apologise for my use of cannabis because my use of cannabis was beneficial to me. I hoped by speaking for myself in court while representing myself for personal possession of cannabis, the judge would see I was not a criminal, but sadly that was not to be the case. I wish this was an isolated incident, but sadly it was not. We've seen many cases in Ireland where patients have been criminalised for self-medicating with cannabis. In one case from West Cork, a chronic pain patient was criminalised for €4 worth of cannabis. This man had his name and address printed in the media, adding more undue stress to his life, which does not just impact his life, but the lives of his family and friends. We've had patients feared of being criminalised who could not go without access to cannabis, have to treat their condition, forced to pack their bags and leave our shores to go to Ireland.
Yeah. I kind of forget that I did that, and I seen there earlier today that we've actually been invited back there's some other news for you guys. For those of you who've still hung around, I seen there was an email there earlier. There was an invite back up to the Oireachtas. I don't have any other details than other than there was an invite there. I'd imagine it was in relation to this contribution that was made in its entirety over the entire day. So we'll get to go back, answer more questions, maybe contribute more. Look forward to it. It's gonna be a great crack. I think that's sometime in September. I think it was the 10th of September that was dated. Looking forward to that though. Yay! I wonder who'll be there. But yeah, no updates from Ming. I will say though that it was really nice that Ming actually reached out to me there. I'll pop this off. Boom. Ming reached out to me in Messenger, commended me on my contribution above there at that hearing above in the dial. So that was quite cool. It was nice that he'd actually reach out. It was cool that he actually had watched it and seen some of my contributions. So I hadn't even realized that he had retweeted that. So it was that's even cooler as well. Mr. Finnegan says, "Love that address. In fairness, Martin, your favorite part was using Donnelly's words. I couldn't resist the opportunity. I was presenting to the government, and I could not resist the opportunity to re-quote that guy back what he said only." Like, what would you say? What, 6 years ago? Was it 2016? That article was done in Hot Press. 6 years. 6 years ago, he thought, like, yeah, people who grow cannabis should not be locked up because they're harming nobody. He's no Minister for Health. What's changed? The only thing I see that's changed is he's the power to do something about it, but does he still hold those beliefs? He said he does. He's not acting on them, though. Have to remind him, couldn't resist. That was probably one of my more favourite parts as well. But yeah, we'll get to do it all again back in September. We'll get to go back up there to present to the government on the issue around the criminal sanctions for drug users. Barry Keane says 100% of pharma drugs come from petroleum, which comes from diesel and is toxic. Note the dye in diesel and exin toxic. There you go, guys. All in the words. But yeah, no, you're very right there. A lot of pharma drugs come from petroleum-based products. A lot of them synthesized, in that kind of a manner. But yeah, but do you also know that a lot of these compounds that they're synthesizing using these petroleum means originate from natural products? They mimic them, then they just find ways to make them with, like, I just say petroleum stuff. I don't understand the process. It's chemical engineering. Boom. Done a little bit of it, but never really pursued it any further than one module. Yeah, more of their own words again. Them. That was class. Nice one, me Mooney. Nice one. Rashers there says Frankie peel an orange in his pocket being. Yeah, I'd say he'd feel an orange in his pocket, alright. Man, fecker. They're nothing. Alright, Cannaman, what's happening? I see Cannaman out there as well. Mooney says, I saw Ming launched it on Twitter. Yeah, I seen that. I think we played a video here when he launched it. That was like 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a bit longer even. 5 weeks ago. But yeah, it'd be great to see more action on that, alright, because our own government now are on holidays, but something needs to be done. People are still suffering, courts still going on, people are still getting locked up for cannabis, patients are still without access. The government are on holidays, the guys with the power to do something are on fucking holidays for 2 months. What kind of world is this? I don't get it, like, but look, we'll smile and we'll have crack and joke and keep rocking until we can't rock no more. All right, we'll blaze one more because sure, why not? Get your comments in and we'll be saying our goodbyes there in the next 2 minutes. Back one more bowl. Just a reminder for anybody who's joining the stream late. Next event here in Ireland, down here in Cork City. Where like? You have the map still open? You do? There you go, it's Cork City. So we're just out here. There we go, in that field. Yeah. Hopefully y'all got that. Blaze it if you got it. Casa the Stragas, welcome. We're just finishing up the stream there now, Casa. It was a late one here this evening. I couldn't get around to do the 420 today, but I couldn't resist, and I really wanted to just get at least one stream a week done, just to continue to cover some of the stuff out there. Oh, jeez, man. Oh, what a stoner moment. Casa, you kind of reminded me, so Casa saved the day. Let's quickly go back to one. I can't end the stream without covering this story. It's over here on Facebook. Just gonna get her up. Just say this: GoFundMe are cunts. And you'll understand why in a few minutes. Just get back over here to Chrome. So this lady is Caroline Gisborne, and her son Mitch, or Mitchell, has got some issues there with epilepsy. She recently launched a GoFundMe, and they shut it down. The GoFundMe, was to fund a private prescription for her son's cannabis. So Caroline was giving her son Mitchell some cannabis illegally. I'm just going to find the post there. There's the post there now. So there goes. Dear Caroline, we're sending you this message to tell you your GoFundMe account has been removed because it violates the terms of service. So she was doing a GoFundMe for her son to get a private prescription for cannabis, because the costs associated with that weren't going to be covered by the NHS. So she has to cover it herself. But they shut it down. So now she's no longer able to fundraise for Mitchell's private prescription for cannabis. But she does say here, thank you to those who kindly donated. You will be receiving a refund within 7 business days, it's a real shame. There's a lot of people donated to that who wanted to see the money go towards this family to help with the cost of the cannabis medicines. I'm just going to go down a little bit further because I know there is another post down here. So here it is. Sadly, everything went downhill for Mitch after leaving Camelford A or B, 2 different schools since September 2019. No, this is not the one. Here, tonight, yeah, this is the one. Tonight I've had 2 police from the Public Prosecution Unit come to visit me and take away Mitchell's illicit bottle of THC. So this was on the 22nd of July. So this was last week. I almost wanted to do a live there and then once I was reading this. So she says, I'm paying for his private prescription. I'm praying his private prescription arrives tomorrow. If it doesn't, I don't know what I'll do, nor how Mitchell will be without any THC. She says, I've managed to literally scrape together £225 for his first month's prescription, and so that's all good. And there will be a GoFundMe set up in the coming weeks. She says that she doesn't even want to do that. She's reluctant to have to set up a GoFundMe. There is a link to it. I wonder what happens if I click the link. Page not found. Yeah, shame on you. But yeah, she didn't even want to set that up. She had no choice but to do it. She was kind of desperate, in a desperate situation. The illegal THC that she was using for her son was being taken away from her. She's going to be criminal. She's being criminalized, I believe, for giving her son illegal THC, despite him actually having a private prescription for it now. It's mad. But if she has no money to get that prescription, he's not going to be able to get his medicine. Makes no sense, and they'd let him go without his medicine. They'd rather him go without it than get it in the black market. This whole thing is sick. Says also apparently I'm going to be asked to go to the Bodmin police station for a little chat in the next couple of weeks. So in other words, I'll be arrested and interviewed under caution. Apart from all that, everything's tickety boo. Enjoy your evening, folks. Mad. There's a video down here as well of her son, and I'll just give you a disclaimer. It's distressing. I suffer epilepsy, so for me it's distressing to see people suffer with seizures. But this is a video of her having to wean her son off of the illegal THC because she knew that there was going to be trouble, that there was the social services, the cops and stuff were getting involved. It was a couple of days later, the 22nd, they actually came to take it away. But this is her son, day 2 of weaning him off. So it says there 2 minutes 36 seconds in, so we just go forward.
It's okay.
So like he's having seizures there now. His brain is having these like electrical firings going on, like it's just fucking electrical storm going off in the brain, causing all sorts of fucking madness that happen within the body.
Yeah.
That's my description of it. Like it's like you see there, like that fucking.
It's okay.
Cannabis stops that. Like cannabis helps with that. This is what the government over there. That's what the help. I'm going to stop that because I don't like playing that. So I'm looking at that stuff. Just reminds me of my own seizures as well. But the government would want you to be out without cannabis and go through that shit. Like surely, that if you've got a means of preventing that from happening, because that's torture on the body. Like having a seizure like that's torture on the body. It's so tiring. It's so sickening. It's rotten. So it's just nasty that's happening. So that this woman was made take her son off this medicine. He knows going on a private prescription, back onto it again. This just makes no sense. But I have to bring up that case. I'm going to be chatting with Caroline, hopefully, in the coming days, weeks. As I said, I'm hoping to get some interviews done, and she'll be able to fill us more in about the case. Hopefully, something will have prevailed by then. Hopefully there'll be major improvements and stuff like that for their situation. Hopefully some fucking rich philanthropist just comes out of nowhere and says, hey, here you go, look, there's enough there to cover the next 5 years worth of medication for all of the kids. It's like this has gotten to a point that there's actually charities now being set up over there, and I'm just going to get them up there now. Remember Karen Gray, who was on in the past gonna get up this page here. Thought it was intractable.org. Yeah, it is. It's .org.uk. I left out the .uk. That must be essential. Let's get back over there to Chrome one last time. Like, access to cannabis for patients in the UK because of the private prescription system has got so problematic that now this charity has had to be set up. This charity works in that it gets the funds to families who need access to cannabis, but they can only get private prescriptions because the NHS won't provide the medicine under the NHS system where the costs are covered. So that's how much of a problem it is. And here, we see some familiar faces, that we've had on the past. See Karen Gray's kid. We see some disturbing photos there as well. Lots of kids they're affected by this prohibition. It's just mad. So many. Right, we smoke a ball and hopefully Holly's offer up a prayer to the higher powers out there that all of this nonsense ends someday and all of this pain and suffering that was needlessly caused is ended. As like I can't help think that the prohibition of cannabis is the reason why all of these kids are suffering. You think back, as far back as when was it? It was the 1800s. 1800s. What was your man's name again? Fucking sort of William Brooke O'Shaughnessy. And he said, like, oh, we've got a cure for childhood convulsions, I think is what he described it as, what we now know as epilepsy. And then because of cannabis prohibition in the 1930s, all studies in it ceased. Any studies done on cannabis was to demonize it any time afterwards. Any studies done to examine the medical benefits of cannabis were hindered because of the quality of the cannabis that was being used in these studies. So therefore, cannabis prohibition is to blame for the needless brain surgery there that not Karen what was her name again? Fuck's sake. Brain farts. I don't know. Lisa Quarrel. Yeah, Lisa's son. DJ was her son, wasn't it? Yeah. Lisa's son. He needlessly got brain surgery if they just gave him access to cannabis, would have sorted it all out. So that's intractable. So intractable.org.uk if you want to go over and visit their website and learn a bit more about their thing. If you're over in the UK, if you're here in Ireland, or wherever you are, if you want to help them out, there's a donate button. Donate with PayPal, credit card. Oh. It's a nice looking website in fairness. It's well done. Intractable epilepsy destroys our lives, and it's our main mission to make those lives better, both medically and financially, for the sufferers and their families. Great little opening. Yeah, that's true, Casa saying here. That's a shame about the GoFundMe. These platforms already take a hefty fee as it is, and now the power tipping, deciding who to fund. Yeah, it's a shame. These parents are desperate enough as it is. A lot of them are reluctant to even put these GoFundMes up, and then they take them down. Casa says, did you cover the story yet about the 100 plants outside the Thai Parliament? I didn't, Casa. I didn't even come across it, to be honest. 100 plants outside Thai Parliament. I knew the Thai government were giving out plants. Cannabis plants of unknown origins. Pop this up there for you. Cannabis plants of unknown origins found in Thai Parliament compound. Is this the plants here found at the foot of the tree? Nice. About 100 cannabis saplings mysteriously being planted in the grounds of the Thai Parliament's complex without being noticed by security guards or officials. Yes, I love it. That was 5 days ago. I didn't come across that, Castle, so a nice one for bringing that to my attention. There you go, guys. A late save in the day. Casa de Strogas coming in with an extra headline there for the news, worthy of covering. Goes nicely with the one in Dorset. Anybody taking responsibility for it now? Nah. 1 day ago, No, that's the same. Nobody responsible. Oh well. I've reached out to one person over in Thailand, hoping that they get back to me. Scottish guy apparently. Back to chat with that person. Stephen Cav, what's happening? Just about to sign off, Steve. Said I was going to say goodbye there about 20 minutes ago, I think. So yeah, we're certainly going to be signing off in the next minute or two. Cannabis plant found in the floor guarding outside the Wexford Chamber of Commerce on Hill Street recently too. Nice. Any pictures? Anybody got any pictures? Not that a person who planted it would take the pictures, but somebody passing by might. But nice to hear. Go on, Wexford. John Finnegan just saw that. Nice. Is it up on Instagram or something, Steve? It's probably up there already. I probably liked it and shared it. No, I didn't even. 4 bong hits in. Don't shame me. About to watch Jurassic Park now in a while. Rasher says, who are these cunts who interfere in the usage of this service they offer? Yeah, it's true. Shouldn't be involved really. It should. Keen says, very sorry to hear your treatment last few weeks. YVI have a gathering on the 20th. They also stand for the immediate use of medical cannabis. YVI, Young Volunteers Ireland. I don't know, YVI. I recommend give in. Is that another one? Give and go. Looking back through some of the last comments there. Yeah, that's everybody, I think. Barry Keane, Shlon. Everybody else out there, Barry Fields, Mr. Finnegan, you've been a long time. Love you long time. I think you've been here since the start, going you legend. Everybody else, you're all legends too. And we will catch you back here. Let's see if we can get back here Wednesday. Let's see if we can get actually a 420 news done next Wednesday. If not, 710 might be happening again. We see what happens anyway. But until then, guys, stay safe. Keep it blazed. Keep it lit. Peace. Getting rusty. Confidence says, might watch the dinosaur movie myself. Don't be staying up late now, John, or your man will be giving out again. Catch you all later. Peace.